Okay, welcome to Watercolor Studio 42. I mentioned, I think, a little bit last week that I was going to try to find something that would be maybe a little bit cooler, so some tropical beach or something. So I just happened to come across a nice picture in one of my calendars that they put in the mail of the national parks. And so this one happens to be, this is the photograph I'm working from today, is a photograph of the, they didn't mention what the beach was or anything, but it says the Virgin Islands National Park, USA, and then it mentions the name Virgin Islands again. So it's somewhere out there, and it's probably maybe a portion of United States, one of the territories or something of that sort. But so we're going to work from this one today. I thought the picture was pretty good as far as the palm trees, the position. This one's leaning in. It leans in, not going out of the picture. And you got another palm tree that kind of gives you an idea of the distance. And this palm tree is really in the foreground. You just see part of a brow of that. And then you get your middle ground and then the background. So usually when I'm doing a picture that's outside, I usually start with the sort of a little wash in the background. Now, I'm not going to wet this too much, but we'll just put a little bit of water on the background in here. Something like that. And so now, once we put that in, I'm going to take a little bit of my, they call it phthalo blue. It's sort of like a cerulean blue, a lot like cerulean blue. And I'm just going to put a little dash of that across the, oops, we need more than that on the brush. All right. Just a soft wash. I've wet the paper, so we're going to put a little bit of the wash of the sky in, or backdrop here. Just put a little bit more paint on the brush. Okay, come across here. I don't have to worry about painting too much blue, because I got the palm brow coming in there. So we'll go across over here. Now, over on this side, the sky appears to be a lot darker. So let's add a little bit more that phthalo blue into this area, just a deeper shade, and that will make the little patches of cloud show up a little bit more off in the distance here. And we want to make this line somewhat straight across there. We don't have to be too fussy with it today. And like I mentioned before, a lot of times what I do is I want, if I've got too much water or paint on the paper, if I want that to dry faster, I just hit it with the paper towel. I'm just going to go across in through here. Now, down through this bottom here, there's some land off in the distance, and it's sort of a deeper color, sort of a purplish blue. And then you've got the water, and the water just has a little pinch, hardly noticeable. It's going to have a little bit of yellow in the blue, so it looks like it's sort of a greener color, like salt water would be. Now that's a little bit too bright right now. So having said that, I'm going to take and blot some of that off and put a little bit more blue into that color. Okay, we're getting something like this. It's a little bit brighter than what I want. So we'll give it a little bit more of a wash. Here, pull some of that out. And we're going to bring this into the shoreline here. Okay, let's pick up that right across there. All right, now That's a little bit, well, it's probably going to be okay once it dries a little bit, but I'm just going to kind of lift that across here a little bit more. Probably not too much of this is going to show because it's going to have some trees, the palm browse and all that coming into the painting. Let's dry this up here a little bit. Get that to dry out a little faster. Now I can always come back in, and anywhere I want to make the sky a little darker, I can always take a little bit more of the phthalo blue here and just drop a little bit of color into that. And the paper's still a little bit wet, so you can kind of push the color around a little bit more so you get some softer edges. Yeah, put a little bit of that across here. A little bit of up into this area. And whatnot. You don't have to worry too much about this part. We're going to have part of the pine barrel coming in. So here we go. A little dab here and there. And let's see, we got some landform coming in. Now, I sketched a little bit with the pencil, but I'm going to just kind of go over this just slightly with a marker, this particular marker, and just to emphasize a little bit more. There's going to be a palm tree that goes up into there, and we can just sketch where the base of that is. Then you're going to have some cast shadows coming out. I don't think I'll put them in with a marker. And right across here, we've got a couple of brows and some of the palm needles. I call them needles. I guess they look like little pointed needles coming out. They're probably pretty good sized needles. And then there's going to be a little cluster in here, going to be a smaller palm tree, and the trunk of that comes down, it bends in a little bit. It has a bend to it. And then you've got the water line going across in this area. And in through here, what really makes the picture really pop out a bit more is some of these cast shadows that are going to be in this area along the ground. So I don't want to get into too much of that drawing with the marker. So what I want to do though is pick up some of these little patches and it's kind of smooth it out a bit. Here we go. Get that moving across. Yeah. Now, sometimes if your paper buckles, if you have another piece of a board or something underneath, I usually wet the back with just water, and that keeps the paper flatter. But I didn't want to do it here because I don't have much underneath it. Okay, here we go. I'm just kind of pushing some of the colors and helping to dry it off a little bit more. Just kind of softening things in a bit. Going to be a cluster of trees and things off in the distance here. There's going to be a little bit of a projection of some land coming out in through this area. And right in here, I'm going to use a cleaner piece of towel here. It's going to be another palm tree. Comes down into that part. I've kind of indicated where halfway is so that I kind of want to kind of balance it off a little bit. Obviously in this photograph there's more happening on the left side than on the right side. So we can counterbalance that a little bit when you do some of the color, put the color in. Okay, now get some of that out of there. Dry it, help dry it a little faster. Okay, now I'm going to work on that a little bit more later on. Right now, while I'm letting that kind of settle in a bit, I'm going to do the bottom portion, and I'm just going to take a little bit of my, again, a little bit of water. I guess I can use this brush as long as there's not too much paint left in it. We'll use that one. And I'm going to come across here, across the bottom, and I'm just going to moisten it very slightly. But this is going to be all sand in through here. It's very important that you put all of these colors that are background. You got to get them in before you paint on top of them, because then you have to be too fussy to paint around everything. So I get all these big flat washes of paint in here. Now let's see, the sand, it's a little bit of, well, it's a little bit of everything. I'm going to start off with a little bit of raw sienna and some of my yellow. Let's put some raw sienna in here, and I might add a little pinch of pink, something in there to make it look like sometimes the seashells, they grind up and they sort of look soft, very pale pink. So we're going to just go across here, and we're just going to put some of this color in. Now right now that looks very strong, and what we're going to do here is just pull some of that across here, and soften that out. And right over here, this is going to be where a lot of the shadow's going to fall. So, but now I'm going to give it another little coat. We're going to put some of that raw sienna in. We're going to put that on. Okay. I'm making the sand very much lighter than the photograph. I should say brighter too, much brighter. Much brighter. Photograph is almost white. Well, that's making sand whiter. Okay, let's pull some of that out. Oops, excuse me. We'll pull some of that out. And now we're going to give it another coat of more raw sienna, less yellow. Take another clean up paper towel here. Let's use some of that raw sienna, and we're going to put that across here. Whoops, in places. There we go. Now, worst comes to worst, if you wanted to get this to show up a little bit lighter, what I do sometimes is take some of my white, take some of this white acrylic, and you can kind of give it a little bit of a wash with that. We'll show you what happens with that. Now you're going to go over this. See how with that white, it takes a lot of that color out. Okay, here you go. See, I can put some of that lighter shade back into the sand. I just didn't want it as light as the photograph. Photographs can get away with a lot more than what you can with the painting. I think so. A lot of times. Let's put some of that white back in. Okay, right across here. We put quite a bit of white into this area. See how light that can be through here? Wash over here. You see, it gets very light out in this area. This area here is more in the shadow. But out here, it's quite a bit lighter. So we'll put some of that in. And I'm still almost tempted, maybe I'll save that for later, just to put probably just a little bit more of a pinkish color. But we'll see how that works out. Okay, we'll put some of this in. It's light out in here too, where the direct sunlight is on the sand. And back here, a lot of things are in the shadow here. Let's lighten this up in here. Right in this area, right in that corner. Okay. You see how I'm getting back into almost the light color of the photograph. That's the thing with photography, you know, a lot of times I can work from a photograph, but it probably isn't exactly the color that might exist if I was doing it, you know, on location, painting it outside. On location, things would look a lot different from what the camera does. I'll lighten that up. Okay. Looks pretty good now. But see, you've got these base colors. You got the base color to work from. And I don't get too fussy with laying some of this in. I kind of dabble around because you're supposed to sort of emphasize, bring out the texture of sand anyways. You know, footprints and all that. Not that this has too many footprints, it's sort of a softer texture. Okay, we'll come up into there and bring that out a little bit more across here. Yeah, it gives you that sort of that texture of what we're looking for. I might have to use a little bit more white. Let's put a little bit more white out on the palette here. There you go. Just a little bit more white, wherever. Here we go. Right along this edge here is quite a bit of white. Right along the edge of the beach. Right out there in the sun. Put a little bit going across there. Sort of the way they took the pictures, a little bit of an angle. Yeah. Okay. Now, here's another thing you can do with your white. Sometimes if you want a cloud to show up, maybe to lighten it up a bit, you can take your white and just dabble around on your blue if you want a particular cloud to show up. You can always do that. Always touch up here and there. It's kind of, I'm just kind of following a little bit of the photograph. Okay, there you go. Now, I guess we got quite a few of the areas covered here. Quite a bit of it covered. I'm not crazy about what's happening there, but we're going to put some land across here. Probably a little bit later towards the end of the picture here. I need to make this lighter through here. Put a little bit more white in here. Yeah. Okay, well, that's so and so. Now, here we are. Now, let's see what we need to do. If this is dry enough, I think I can probably start doing some of the brows there of the palm tree. Put some of that in. Okay. We got some nice bright lights in here. Give off some heat so things dry a little faster. When you're painting outside, if it's a real sunny day, myself personally, I try to paint so that I'm in the shade, my drawing paper and so forth is in the shade, and I'm looking out into the light. But I think it's a little bit tough sometimes when you're working outside. If you get a direct glare on the paper, it really bothers you trying to see through all of that to get to the correct, color that you're trying to do or use. Now, let's see where we can go with this. I think I'll do this stronger brow in through here. Now that's a real deeper color, and I don't know. I have phthalo blue, and I have my yellows. I don't know. We'll see what we can mix up here with that, and then well, I'm going to take a closer look. There is some sort of a darker shade of yellow that's coming through that too. So maybe we'll start off with a little bit of yellow green here, and trying to look for a brush that might work better. I got those thin ones for when you do the points and all that. Okay, let's try this one, see what happens. We got the blue. We can put more blue into that. Okay, we're going to use some of this raw sienna. Put that in there, see what that does. Okay, use up some of that and whatnot. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of very quickly dash in the spine or the center of this shape here. Just give it a sweep, right? Across like that. And I like to blot it so I get different shades in there. And some of the brows, they're going to come down. I hope this is dry enough to do this, but they're going to come down. You have to kind of, when you do this, you have to lift up a little bit on your brush so these little brows go out to a point. We'll put a little bit more yellow into that for now. It has a base color, sort of a yellowish color. Mix it around a bit. Yeah. And it gets a little bit thicker through here. Okay. And so you just have to kind of keep it loose, Don't try to overdo it. Just come down and lift up. Lift up onto some of those brows. In towards the center here, it gets a little bit solid. You can fill it in solid right towards the spine of the brow. Now this is a lighter shade. We can always add some dark into it. Get this looking okay. And we're going to go out this way a little bit with that. Just kind of pull it away. That could be a little bit heavier through here. It's kind of, you don't see too much sky showing through. Not much there. Come out from the center. Yeah. Kind of soft washes, just a little bit. And we'll let a little bit of the light show through there. Fill that in down near the base here. This can get solid through here. See on that brow. Now, there's another brow that's coming in from a tree that's kind of over here, a little bit closer to us, right in there. Then you got that one that's a little further out. Now, let's see what we're doing here. I think we're all, I don't want to work on this too much, but we'll just clean it up a little bit through here. When I say clean it up, I'm talking about not making it look so busy. Just easy, you know, more relaxed type of brush stroke. Then we got something happening over here. This is coming in actually from this palm tree there. It cuts across, it's bending in here. So the brow from that one is going to go cutting down into this one a little bit, like that. Okay, so I guess I could still use the same brush for that. Just put a little bit more yellow into it. Just show it more out. It's a little bit more out into the sun. This one here, gotta get that kind of easy motion here. All right. Sometimes these things come out better than others because you're kind of having to try to keep it as loose as you can, which sometimes is not that easy. To make it look like it's kind of free and easy in the breeze here. Gets a little bit heavier back there. And we'll bring that right to the top edge of your paper. Bring it right out into there. And just kind of gives us a little bit more of a cleaner edge there. Curl around maybe a little bit more. Okay. Again, you're sort of lifting up as you move the brush stroke out. Kind of make it go a little bit thinner there. That could use a little bit more through here. Up through here, we can kind of bring this out a little bit more. Whoops, need some more water. Okay. Go a little darker here. That's better. While we're at it, you kind of keep it kind of free and loose if you can. And you don't see too much of the center here on this one. Just a solid color through there, more or less. Now, a lot of times, it's not a bad idea to practice a little bit on a scrap piece of paper. You know, the brush stroke, just to kind of loosen up. I happen not to. But sometimes it's not a bad idea to do that, you know, when you're painting. And the idea is not to overwork it too much. We have a tendency to try to overdo it. So sometimes you have to kind of backtrack a little bit and not quite try to do so much. Make it a little darker. What I'm doing is building up a little bit of the coats of paint. You know, you put a lighter coat and then you put a little heavier coat on top of that. to bring out some of the texture. But what you don't want to do is do too much. You want to just keep it as simple as you can, okay? And just go over what you've already painted. Don't try to add to it, because then the brow loses its shape after a while. You know, you have to kind of keep it kind of free and easy. Like I tell my students a lot of times, I said, you know, it might look easy, but easy isn't always easy when you're painting to make something look easy. There's a tendency to always try to do too much. Try to do too much in there. Okay. And swing that out a little bit more. I'll probably come back, touch that up a little bit more as we go along. Give it another coat. You know, let it dry a bit, and then come back and put another coat or color on it, whatever you're going to do. Now, while I'm at it, I'm going to do sort of what's happening on the side here, and I guess that's dry enough to work on that. I've got to look at this closer to see what's going on over here. It looks like a lot of brush, a lot of this sort of thing off here. You just have to make the contour kind of interesting shape. You don't have to go into too much detail, because it's hard to tell, you know, from a distance what it might be, other than some sort of a bush or brush off in the distance there. I think I got a lot of blue into that one. Might have to come back a little bit. If I can touch it up a little bit more. Get it a little bit darker, more greenish color. Okay, something similar to what we have here. And just a little bit of spatter here. A little bit of dabbling. I use that word a lot, because a lot of times when I'm painting, I'm just kind of dabbling around, you know. Kind of try to keep it under control if I can. Don't get too carried away. Eventually this is all going to be more down through here. This is going to be more of a shadow. A lot of shadow through there. Now, let's see what else we got to do over here. Anything else happening in here? No, other than, yeah, I got my brow going off the page a little more than they have in the picture. They kind of show the brow here kind of going down more to ending up like more at a point down in there lower. Okay, now, whether I'm going to stick with the same brush or not for the tree. Looks like it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little branches that go off, and it's almost like you see an umbrella, you know, an umbrella, how it fans out, or even a flower shape. It kind of fans out. So I don't know whether I should go just with a slight smaller brush or not. Let's see what I got here. No, I haven't got too many variations here. I think I'll stick with this one. Might as well. Got a good point to it. So what we're going to do here, this smaller palm tree, it's not smaller, it's just off in the distance more. Let's go out this way and then it goes this way. Something out there. Let's see, kind of has a hook to it. And then we got another one a little further down that way. And then you've got something in here that bends a little bit. And let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I guess the 6 on this one is going to be over there, off that way, okay? So, away we go. Now this is going to be just doing, filling in more of the way the palms fill in. But you're not going to see as much, I guess you won't see as much detail. It's going to look more of a solid shape there. Let's do this one over here, a little bit more of a fill in. And this one down here. And let's see, you see you're just kind of pulling off from a center point to get that little flare. Now this one here, I got it a little bit wider than probably what it should be, but we'll just doctor it up a little bit here. And actually it's got more sunlight on the tip of it, so I could always come back and hit that with a little bit more. We want to fill in through the middle now here, fill this in. Just around this area here. And well, it's again a little bit of a dabbling around here till it looks like something like a palm tree, I guess. I hope. We hope. Here we are. Yeah, you can get pretty good at this after a while, you know, doing palm trees with a little bit of practice, I guess. Now, eventually I'm going to show a little bit more of the center spine there. This one here gets a little bit solid. Maybe you can pick at that a little bit later. Let's see what I can do with this. Clean that up a bit more. Pull that out. Yeah. Maybe bring that off over here a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, now eventually we got to put in the trunk. Now normally you would put you draw the spine or the trunk first, and here I am putting it in now afterwards, after I do the brows. So kind of going backwards the way it might grow. But this is going to come down, it bends a little bit there, a little bit, doesn't have to be straight, and it goes into here somewhere over in the corner. And then eventually a lot of the shadows are going to be put in. I think I've got somewhere in here I had a gray. Yes, I have. This one here I got to use for the shadow, Payne's gray. Now, what else? Oh yeah, I guess it's dry enough now I can put in some of the trunk of the tree. Thought I had a flat one here somewhere. Huh? I get a load of brushes. Sometimes I don't bring exactly the one I need, but that's all right. We manage somehow. Get this guy over here. Now, to put the trunk in, probably that in the photograph it does look sort of a bluish gray. So we got this this Payne's gray. Take a little bit of that, And I'm just going to put a little pinch of, get more of that in there. I'm just going to put a little pinch of that, probably put some of that blue into it. And see what we got. Might have to thin it down. I don't want it to be just gray. Sort of have a little bit of a tint to it. So let's come down here, come out of somewhere out of here, bring it down. And right here it's going to get lighter in through there. Then all of a sudden we're going to pick it up towards the trunk. Bring the trunk out like that, and then make it a little wider over here. And it's going to kind of spread out and go a little bit in this direction. Okay? Now this area through here it's got some sunlight. So what we're just going to do is take that color that we had and just thin it out, make it a lighter shade of gray. Let's pick up where we left off here, and we'll make that connection over here. May have to go over that again, something like that. It's a little bit too light right now, but we can doctor that up. Put some more markings in here. Let's see. Just make it a little bit more of a darker shade to here. Something like that, so it shows up a little bit more. And then this tree here, that's going to have a real sort of a deeper color. Put some of that in, almost like almost black in a way. And it has sort of a little bend to it. Comes down and it goes that way. Goes off over here somewhere. Okay. Now, let's see. We got to consider the shadow. We're going to put some shadow in. Now, the shadow is going to be interesting. We can do this tree out here, across the sand. Going to go that way, going to go a little bit this way. And then we got a lot of shading in through here. And this one's going to have quite a bit of shading. I got to use a smaller brush maybe for some of that on the sand of the brows. Let's see, it gets a little bit darker over here. Right in this corner, this gets real dark in through here. Whoops, you get some green in that. I gotta be careful. Okay, let's see, doctor that up a bit. There you go. And this has a lot of shadow through here. Okay. And put some more shadow. Now this one here gets a little bit tricky. It's going to be a little bit darker out through there. There's some shadow that's coming in from somewhere, from another source, from a tree that's not in the picture. But we'll just kind of put that out there somewhere. Might have to pull that out a little bit more, soften it out. Okay, now this one needs a little bit more work. Probably use a thinner brush. Somewhere we got one. You know, it's like a line brush or a rigger. And we're just going to pull this out. Put a lot of more detail into this if we can. Okay. I'm going to come out here. This gets a little bit tricky, huh? Yeah. And it's very fine through here. That's supposed to be a cast shadow. So when you do shadows, they get a little bit tricky because sometimes the shadows don't have really a sharp edge. Let's fill this in a little bit more. Towards the center there. Here's a little bit more shadow there. This gets a little bit tricky too. You get all this other shading in here. This gets kind of busy looking with all what's going on here. Okay. Where's some more shadow? Shadows everywhere. It gets a little stronger through here too. Right up through there, there's a little bit more of a darker shadow. That could be put in. Something that curls out here a little bit more. Make that show up a little bit more there. Shadows get a little bit tricky. Let's see what we need here. We'll probably bring this out a little bit more here. Okay. Now, if some of these shapes don't look too good, or they may look a little bit too distorted or whatnot, you can always come back in and put some white paint in and around everything, and kind of clean up the shadows if you don't like the particular shape of a shadow. I need to go a little darker through this area, right through here. In through that area. Back up and around the base of the tree here. Shadows are something that you have to kind of practice. I don't do so many shadows. Might have a shadow, you know, like maybe a flower against a wall or something, background shadows. Those are easier, I think. Okay, here. Alright. Now, I mentioned putting a little bit of a spine shape in through there. You do that with a little bit of raw sienna and maybe a little darker shade. Just put a little bit of that. It's in the photograph. Well, it doesn't show up much, does it? Well, okay. I'm not crazy about that one, so let's pull that one out or blot it out. Yeah, soften it out. Okay. We'll just think about that later. Now, what we have to do is finish off through here. This looks like it's a no man's land, so we got to give the ocean a little bit more contrast. I'm going to use this brush a little bit on the cautious side. Now I find the flat ones hiding back here. But what we're going to do is go along the shore and give that a little touch up. See what we can do in here. Just a little bit more contrast in the water. Okay, bring that across here. It makes a difference. It does make a difference. Now, I can bring this fairly straight across. Whoops, no, go that far. Okay. Let's get that dark color out of there. Ah, that's better. Take this fairly straight across. Bring it right over into here. And then what we're going to do is go right in back of the tree here. And we're going to come out on over here on this side. Okay? I'm going to I went almost through the tree here, so we can touch that up. But you want to go in back there, some like that. And then there's going to be just some landform, some land way back up in here. There's going to be some land. So we're going to make that a little bit bumpy through there. Bring this across, something like that. And bring that right out to the edge of your paper. My shade is a little bit off from the photograph. It looks a little bit more purple, but you can always doctor that one up. I got a little bit of a little extra bump there. Just take that down a bit. Yeah, smooth it off a bit. And then you're going to pick it up on this side. You're going to see a little bit more of that over here. Behind the tree here, pick it up behind the tree, and on this side, it kind of blends off there. It kind of fades away a little bit. Now, the ocean supposedly is supposed to be coming in, and we're going to just extend that a little bit more. You see how you build up different glazes? I just wanted to go in back of the tree a bit. You'll see a little bit of the water on this side of the tree. I kind of smudged out the branch here, but we could doctor that up, let it dry a little bit. But you can get the idea of how that would work. Now, what else? How about a little bit more, just a little bit more shadow around here. Give it a little bit of a touch up on the sand. A little bit of something happening in the corner here. Just some shade around the bottom edge here. Just add a little bit of that in there. Not much, just a little bit shadow. And I think it's a lot darker, a lot deeper color through here too. Doesn't have to be that bright in this area in here. So I just kind of give that a little wash it out a bit. Now, see what we can do. I don't care for that as much. Too much green in it. So take it out. Now there's going to be some little bit of markings that you might see on the palm tree. Maybe I can just put a couple of those little shapes in, just a few little shapes in there, just a little bit, some markings. And then I think I sort of kind of washed out a little bit of one of the brows here. So see if I can put that back in, touch that up, and whatnot. Now, let's finish off some of the water across here. Kind of blend it across. Pick it up over here a little bit more, whatnot. Now, see what else? What else? There's always some little touch-up. When you look at it the next day sometimes, you have to kind of come back into it and oh, yeah, that needs a little bit more something there. Sometimes I bring something a little bit deeper out of a corner, you know, make it darker or something, just to give it a little bit more of a base for your picture. So anyhow, that's pretty much the way it kind of works. So anyways, I think we've run out of time. I can't believe how fast the time flew by today. But anyways, I just wanted to take the tape off and take a little bit of that off. And it's sort of a false border around everything. Oops, let's try this side. Bring that down. Not having too much luck with the tape here. Oops, daisy, wow, this is good tape, really sticks. Sticks too good sometimes. Oh boy. Here we go. Now get it across the bottom. Wow. Well, anyway, my picture is a lot lighter than the photograph. The photograph has got a lot of darker shadows in it. And I kind of perked up the color quite a bit more. I can always go darker if I wanted to. Just paint over what we've done here. Here we are. Now we got it cleaned up somewhat. So this gives you an idea what it looks like. Okay? So that's about it for today, and sorry I ran out of time. So brushes up, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot for being with us.